guys, we're going to let Rob just play a little bit, and I'm going to say hello to everybody as you come in. Hey, everybody. Hey, Ed. Hey, Becca. Hey, John. Hey, Glenn. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Keith. Awesome. Nice to see you guys. Jim. Hey, Lacey. Hi, Pam. Hi, Bob. Paul is ready to go. He's got a beer, a glass of whiskey, and his guitar. All right. So awesome. Hey, Rob. How you doing, buddy?
Doing wonderful, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, Mike. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Fox. Gina. It's so awesome that you guys could join us. What we're going to be talking about today, everybody, is we're going to be talking about essential raw fundamental blues. So just give me 1 second here. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to figure out what this is. All right, cool. So, guys, the big thing here is that we're going to be talking to you about fundamentals of blues, all the elements that really make up really great, awesome blues. And if you stick around to the end of the webinar, we're actually going to be giving you a free bonus that I'll explain to you as we keep going here. So let's just get going here. Rob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really good, man. I wish it was a little bit warmer than it is here in Fargo right now because it's freezing rain when I was coming home. Actually, coincidentally, from playing with a blues band for practice, so driving home through freezing rain was all kinds of fun stuff, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rob lives about 30 miles from me, so we get together every once in a while and hang out and make some videos and chat a little bit. So, Rob, tell me a little bit about your history of blues. Like, what got you into blues, and what has blues done for your playing? Hey, Jim. Hey, guys.
So yeah, I really started listening to blues when I first started playing guitar. So I'm 30 now, which is funny to say because that's I'm just gonna start getting a few more grays in this beard. But I started playing, like about 10, 9, 10. Started picking up stringed instruments, and one of the first things that I really got into was Jimi Hendrix. For being a younger kid, just hearing somebody play with that kind of fire and intensity, and being a character too. So when I saw pictures of him, I was like, "Whoa, is that guy an alien? Like, what is going on here?" And it was kind of through Hendrix that all the reading interviews with him and watching videos and him talking about what guitar players he liked. What he was a big fan of Buddy Guy and B.B. King and Howlin' Wolf and some of these other. Albert King was a huge influence, and so that kind of took me down the rabbit hole where, once you get the cosign from one of your favorite guitar players, then you go and check them out and then go, oh, well, what did those guys like? What did those guys like? And then you end up going back through, all the way to Robert Johnson. It's kind of the beginning where you go all the way back and then you have to work your way chronologically up to the mid-'60s, the stuff that I really liked with Hendrix and, Eric Clapton and some stuff out of that. So, it's a thing, man. Once you start listening and checking stuff out, and then you start hearing the vocabulary of how people use the licks and what different kinds of blues, so you can kind of start mapping everything out. And then, I went straight down the rabbit hole with it pretty early.
Cool. Hey, if you guys don't know, this is Rob Ash. Rob and I have known each other for a long time, and Rob does some course stuff with us. He's done our slide stuff. He's done some flat picking stuff, some bluegrass stuff with us. And Rob's a killer player, number one, but he's also a killer blues player. And so, guys, this is Rob. You're going to see him a lot. He's going to be doing a lot of stuff in 2016 for GuitarZoom, and I'm really, really happy about that because he's just, like I said, he's a great player. He's a great guy, and that's really important. So, guys, everybody out there, if you can, just chat. And I know it takes about a minute for what I'm saying to reach you and then for you to respond. But what I want you to do is just chat with me. Text your favorite blues guitar player. Just throw it on the chat screen, and tell me who is your favorite blues guitar player. And while you're throwing those up there, Rob and I are going to keep going a little bit. Now, Rob, the reason we're here, we're going to teach some real critical stuff to everybody that's on this call. And we're also going to be talking about a course that I have called Play Blues Now. And basically what Play Blues Now is, everybody, is it's an 8-hour course that takes you from the beginnings, the absolute beginnings of what blues is and the fundamentals of getting prepared with scales and techniques and 12-bar understanding and 8-bar and all those sorts of things, and takes you all the way through licks and patterns and all kinds of different things. And it's really meant to be the basic essential stuff that you need to get going with blues. So before we get started, Rob, I'm seeing everything jump up here of all of these different players that they're talking about. Walter Trout, Johnny Lang, Joe Kidd, SRV.
Johnny Lang, Fargo Boy, like
yeah,
it.
That's right.
Like
that's
it.
right.
100%.
That's right. Yep, that's awesome. What would you say, in without giving too much away of our webinar, what would you say are some critical things that somebody really needs to get in touch with their inner blues?
I think the most important thing for me, like number one and number two is like a way like very far second, is listening. Like really, you have to spend a lot of time with the tunes in order to really get a hold of the rhythm, because I think the rhythm is the most important thing that you're going to encounter, because when you break everything down into the smallest parts, when you hear that like real slow gut bucket shuffle of boom, 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 that's when you start feeling that swing, and then everything else comes after that. The harmony, the form, all that stuff. For me, it's all around the rhythm. Because when you boil it down to the most essential part, I think that's the biggest. But when you're listening and feeling the time, feeling the rhythm, that's where some of the other ideas start to come out, and the harmony, I think, from if you're breaking down the groups that are playing, they're all trying to reinforce that rhythm and support that, and so everything kind of builds out on top of it. So you start real small, start slow and small with the rhythm, and then start building on top of it, so you've got a really, really good foundation. Sure.
That's awesome. Let's see here. Perfect. Okay, so guys, we're going to start just talking about 5 things. You know, there's a million things we could talk about, but we're going to start giving you 5 real good tips to prepare yourself for your blues journey. Okay? And again, Play Blues Now is really trying to take you from the absolute beginning stages. You know, in my line of work with teaching and playing and, you know, performing and all that kind of stuff, I have a real hard time with the terms like beginner and intermediate and advanced. I don't even know what the heck I am. I just know I like playing, and that's it. You know what I mean? So this isn't a beginner or intermediate or advanced thing. It's just an overall understanding of all of the elements that really kind of go into blues, as Rob was just saying. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to break down 5 ideas. So if you have a pencil and a piece of paper, get ready, because we're going to have you write some of these ideas down, okay? And if you don't, go grab something really quick, because we both talk fairly slow, so you have lots of time. Okay? So here we go. Mr. Rob, first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about unlocking the fretboard, okay? And what I mean by that is, in all my years of teaching, one of the number one things that I find from players, from lots of other players, is that they don't know their fretboard as well as they either should or they think they do. And so when it comes time to really let loose on the fretboard, they still are kind of prohibited on what it is that they can actually do. So can you kind of elaborate and maybe show us some things and maybe give them some little ideas?
Yeah, sure. So when I think about unlocking the fretboard, it's kind of like playing video games. Like when I was a kid, like I grew up on like the old school Nintendo systems. So like you had maps, and there was wherever part of the level you were on, you could only stay in that part of the level until you unlock the next thing, and then you got to see more of the map. And that's kind of like the guitar too, where you might get your hands on 1 or 2 chords. You know, maybe they're just kind of cowboy chord kind of things, and then you know, like once you get a hang on those, okay, I got G, C, and D, so I got that now. And then start if you want to expand things, you kind of have to figure out how they relate to each other and what scales go over the chords. So for me, the basis, the real first thing you got to do is just make sure you get a handle on the tuning that you're in, and making sure that you can tune the instrument right first. Because if it's not in tune, you're gonna have problems right off the bat. So just make sure you're in tune. I would stick to A440. Just keep it simple right away. That's kind of the tricky part about playing blues, because a lot of the songs that people really dig are in flat keys, or if you're like Jimi Hendrix, you tune down a half step. And so if you're trying to play with the records, you got to know what tuning they're in order to make sense for it. Because if you're trying to play a Jimi Hendrix tune in E to the record, you're gonna have a bad time right off the bat, even if you know what you're doing.
Right.
So I would think starting for me, I would start like in the key of E, just because you've got a lot of open strings you can work with, and when you start figuring out where everything sits, it's a little bit easier to have the markers, especially if you've got the dots on the neck. It's a little bit easier to keep track of stuff.
Right.
So that's what I would think about doing. So if I'm starting like just showing somebody who doesn't, this is their first time playing guitar, playing the blues, I would start off with like the open E5 kind of thing. Because if you can just play that, you're like, oh, all right, cool, I'm playing guitar. This is working for me. And that way you can kind of just get a handle on the right hand. For me, the right hand is king in most scenarios when it comes to the guitar, because it has to do with the rhythm. So when you're starting to unlock the fretboard, you just use like that like 5 to major 6 thing. So you've got like a little.
Real quick, guys, that's half the fun right there, is all the cool little things you can do by adding notes in. It's really neat.
So it's like you kind of like just within that little, you can start to hear the bluesy inflections and things, right? So you're just taking one chord.
Rob, can you do me a favor and move back just a little bit so they can see your hand? Because our little windows are kind of covering your hand.
Oh yeah, sure. All right.
Thanks.
Now you should be able to see the whole thing now.
Oh, I could totally see it. Yep.
You see the tiny little thing in the corner. So, so like for me, when I start thinking about scales and chords and stuff like that, starting at the beginning of it, if we're just in the key of E, the main things if you're learning the blues, you got to learn the 1, you got to learn the 4, and you got to learn the 5. Once you can do that, then you can play through the full form and kind of understand there's kind of a cyclical thing that goes on. So like with this, if you go with E, right? Cowboy chord E, A, B, and E. So just kind of getting a handle on those and getting where your fingers are, you can hear where they're at. Just kind of start from there. So when we break those down into like just the real simple, what I call gut bucket blues form, like I was playing before, it's just 2 notes back and forth, and you're just kind of driving it with the right hand. And I think if you can, I would spend a ton of time just on that, just feeling that rhythm, because it's got that little stutter in it, and the little syncopation, and just being able to keep that rolling so that you feel comfortable with it, then start moving around into the different positions. But just keeping it, keep it real simple up front, because especially with how the guitar is tuned, when you start moving up the neck, you've got to have a really good handle on where things are at down here, because everything starts to repeat itself in some way or another as you go up. As you start to kind of see more of the map, you can, if you get a good handle on it down here, where your root notes are, where the octaves are, then that kind of starts, for me, it starts taking some of the mystery out of it, where you can see a little bit more and see some of the relationships between everything. So especially like,
can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm going to try something real quick. There's delay.
Oh, you getting some latency?
Yeah, can you hear a delay in my voice?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, maybe it's okay. Can you hear me okay, though, Rob?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll just leave it the way it is right now. We'll keep going. So let's talk a little bit about unlocking that fretboard. Let's talk a little bit like when you're going to try and learn or teach, for instance, some scale things, what kind of things do you kind of do for people? Like, let me give you an example, everybody out there. And this is something that I really want you all to think about, okay? I want you to think about the fact of, like, most people spend their lives in this first minor pentatonic position. They sit in the same position all the time. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying there are guys out there like B.B. King that don't know a whole ton of stuff about scales, but they make incredible music with what they do have. So don't get me wrong, it is possible. All I'm saying is I always think of scales as kind of like opportunities to drive to, I'm in Fargo, if I was going to drive to Minneapolis. There isn't just one way of getting there, because if there's only one way of getting there, it's going to get boring after a while. So I can choose different ways to drive to Minneapolis to make it more interesting for myself. Sometimes I'm not in a hurry to get there. Sometimes I want to take the scenic route. So the nice thing is with your fretboard, sometimes I don't, though, I want to get there in a hurry. But the nice thing is that the more you know about your fretboard, it simply gives you more opportunity to be able to move around the fretboard a little bit. So, Rob, if you could, can you just show us, and maybe some of you guys, if you've got your pens and piece of paper, you could write this down a little bit. But guys, give it a try. Rob, if you could show them just a couple of little movements that you do to move around your fretboard a little bit, using maybe just A minor pentatonic.
Yeah, sure. So, like, if I'm working in A minor, the thing that I would start with is making sure you understand how the octaves work in terms of shapes on the guitar. So if you're on the 5th fret on the 6th string, you've got your root note A here, right? So your octave up that you can grab easily is on the 7th, on the 4th string. So it makes that you kind of skipped over. And so that's kind of how, like, I would break it down first. So you've got 1A here, and then the next highest A is up here. So you can get to that a couple different ways. Here's the first normal pentatonic way. Or you can start, instead of with your first finger, start with your ring finger. See how there's that little slide position? It's the same note, but it's utilizing a different position and a different start point. Instead of starting with your first finger, you start here. And then here's your next octave. So that's what helps me kind of keep track of where I'm at, is knowing where the one root note is to the next root note, and then whatever scale you're working on, you can kind of add in the additional notes that are going to be there to help you work your path to where you're going to go. So knowing these little positions, there's that first octave shape, and then your second octave shape is a little bit different because of how the guitar is tuned. You've got 1A here, and then you're skipping 2 frets and going up here. So if you're going to map that out, and then there's your 2 octaves. So for me, understanding where those octaves are helps me kind of make sure that I'm on point as I'm starting to move around the neck, and as you're adding in additional notes and everything like that. So first looking at that position, but then, okay, where are my root notes then? So your 5th and A, then here and here, here and here. You can see on my hands where it's that real wide, weird stretch.
Right.
And for me, when I first started doing it, I actually literally wrote down everything on a piece of paper, where I had all the frets mapped out, I had all the letters mapped out so that I could see everything. Because, it's kind of one of those things where the guitar is not labeled, and for me it was helpful to have the actual letters written out so that I could see what they look like. So,
so guys, think of it this way too. What he just played, if you've always said, because this was really cool for me too, when I first started learning how to do this, was doing exactly what Rob did. I had no idea how to do what he just did, and you probably already know this, but let me just make sure everybody's got this. What you could do is, if you knew where your A was, for instance, if you went to the 6th string 5th fret, and you played 5, and then on the 5th string you played 3 and 5. So you have 5, 3, 5. Okay? And then you move up a whole step to the 7 of the 5th string. So you have 5, 3, 5, 7. Then you move down to the 7th fret of the 4th string. I'm just going to try and show you a little bit of how this works, okay? So now you're on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and you're going to play 7, 5, 7, 9. It's the same shape. It's 1 octave higher. Okay? Then you're going to move to the 10th fret of the 2nd string, and you're going to play 10, and then 8, 10, 12. Now, I'm not plugged in right now because I think I'm having an issue with my audio, but so you've got 3 octaves of the same movement. And of course, that exists over and over and over. So the beauty of unlocking the fretboard is you see these repetitive patterns all over the fretboard. Where when you look down sometimes, if you look at the whole thing, it looks frickin' confusing. Like you have all this crap going on. It's really not. It's actually easier than you think it is. So next thing we're going to do is talk about what Rob first started with, which is the real big thing, which is rhythm or groove. And how important that groove or that rhythm is to your playing, whether it's in your rhythm playing, whether it's in your lead playing. So Rob, could you give us a couple, the note is always 7 frets away, yeah. So guys, or Rob, if you could give us an example of, like, just play some rhythm for us, and let's watch your hand as you play, watch your strumming hand, okay?
Sure, sure.
Awesome. So you see, when Rob's playing, you can see he's got this going, right? So what we do with groove, and Rob can explain this a little bit further, but what I learned about music a long time ago is that no matter what you're playing, it doesn't matter what time signature you're in, what kind of music it is, you're either playing a rhythm that is straight, like marching, dun 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 dun. I know that probably looks really stupid, but that's what it is, right? I am a robot. So but the second thing is you've got what's called a shuffle or a swing rhythm, which is where you're dealing with a triplet. But if you think about it, it's even easier to think about it just as a heartbeat when you're going. You've got that. So your song, no matter what you're playing, if you're learning a Slayer song, it's not going to have a heartbeat rhythm. If you're playing a Metallica song, 99.9% of the time, it will not have a heartbeat rhythm. But if you're playing something by ZZ Top, it very well might have a heartbeat rhythm. So can you give us a couple of examples of that straight versus heartbeat style rhythm?
Yeah, sure. So like with straight, if it's if you're just going.
I would walk 500 miles.
It's just, it's like listen to a clock tick. Whereas if you're listening to a shuffle, it's going to have. Stutter in it, that syncopation, and that's what gives the groove its life. Where
yes.
The straight grooves can be really effective for particular things, but when you start getting into shuffle territory, it offsets some things, and that's where you start feeling that funk and the groove and those other words that people use to describe that feeling.
Absolutely. And guys, for everybody out there, and again, I'm sure you already know a lot of this stuff, but just if you think about it this way, what I always used to do as a good visualization in learning the difference between a straight rhythm and a shuffle rhythm is if I was to take and try and strum from just above my thickest string to just below my first string, and I just move back and forth, I would get an even rhythm. I'd get a straight rhythm. Because what happens a lot of times when people strum is they can't really tell whether they're doing a straight or a shuffle style rhythm. So if you just move the same amount and you move the same speed back and forth like this, you get kind of a straight sounding rhythm. Now, this is just psychological, so you can do this a million ways, but I want you to think about this. If you strummed from right here, right where I was at, but you strummed all the way down to here, you'd wind up with a bunch of space here. So you'd get, and you'd wind up with this swing, even though you're not really trying to swing, you're going to wind up getting it methodically. So if you've never really had a swing rhythm or a shuffle rhythm before, that's a really easy way to think about it, is start here and go all the way down, and then come back up, because all the strings are up here. So you're going to get kind of that triplet or swing or heartbeat rhythm by doing that. Now when Rob plays, he's not doing that. He's just kind of waiting. And you see I can do downs like this, and when Rob was playing, I think, Rob, you were doing this. He was going like this. So you see, you can do swing rhythms or straight rhythms by doing down strums. You can do them by alternate strumming. Now again, I wish I was plugged in here, but so if I was doing this, see, there's so much groove that comes from the understanding that comes with both of these hands and working together. And again, if you've never seen Rob play, he's got an incredible sense of groove. There's just so much happening when he's doing this stuff. I am a huge fan of Rob's slide playing in particular. I just love the way he plays. So I'm giving you some props there, pal.
Oh, man, I should start all my days off like this because you make me feel great. My personal life coach.
Okay, well let's move them in. This is really great. If you've never done number 3 here, it's really simple, but I'm going to tell you a story when Rob gets done showing you this, but it's what we're going to call the secret box, and it's really not so secret, but it's what a lot of people refer to as the BB box, which was freaking life-changing for me when I learned how to play, because I didn't understand a lick about scales or theory. I just learned whatever I could steal off of people that lived near me. I'm so old, I grew up without the internet and anything like that. So, but the BB box, can you talk a little bit about the BB box there, Rob?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that made B.B. King sound the way that he did is just he had this way of playing very sparsely, but being extremely effective, both minor keys, major keys, and he really utilized how the guitar is set up to his advantage. So I'll show you 2 different versions. I'll show you the minor version. It's the same box, but the position in the key is a little bit different. So like when you're playing a minor, like a minor blues. So this little box is the let's see, 9th fret on the G string, 8th fret on B string, 10th fret on the B string, 8th fret on the E string. So there's your minor version, right? So it's with the root note being on the inside of the box, right? Where your 3rd finger is. The major version of the box, it's the same box, but you move it up, and instead of approaching it like this way, you go. So it's the same. How you approach the box, it has a different sound where you position. That's what I think is so cool about it, because part of what's interesting about BB and what was so influential about him melodically is that he would mix between major and minor and flip-flop between those 2 things depending on how the chord was going and the phrase, and that's where you get that push and the pull that is so such a signature thing for him.
Right.
But the box.
Real quick, if you have your pencil and piece of paper handy, write this down. If you were in A minor pentatonic, okay, and you wanted to play the BB box in minor, on the 3rd string you'd play the 9th fret, and then on the 2nd string you'd play 8 and 10, and then on the 1st string you'd play 8 and 10, which is your 2nd position of A minor pentatonic if you know your positions. But that's what you'd be playing, is at 9, 8, 10, 8, 10. Now again, this gets expanded all over the place, but just start with that. And if you wanted to play the major, like Rob said, what's really cool is you can take that exact same thing and just move it up 2 frets higher. and play the exact same thing. Now again, it gets expanded. There's a lot of other things we can do with it, but that's a really easy way of looking at it. Now, what I was using as an example is You Shook Me All Night Long, which is where I was first really introduced to that minor-major thing, is when he's playing. Now, he's in G, and I'm not plugged in, and I'm a moron, so you won't be able to hear me. But if I was in A, so what he does is he plays 9, 8, 8, which is minor. I'm in A. He's normally in G for the song, and I'm showing you in the same key that Rob and I are in. So I'm playing 9, 8, 8, and then you move up a whole step and you play 11, 10, 10, and then he finishes his... So for me, that was absolutely confusing. As much as girls were at the time, this was the one thing that confused me other than girls. It was that stupid thing, because I couldn't figure out why he was able to do that and move up a whole step, because I didn't know anything about major pentatonic. But it's you know, you watch the Black Crowes, you listen to Red House by Jimi Hendrix, you listen to Crossroads, you listen to Stairway to Heaven. All those guys use exactly what we're talking about right now. So sorry to interrupt you, Rob, but I got all excited there.
No, those are perfect examples, actually. Because I was like, oh, yep, that one, yep.
Cool. So, yeah, that BB box, it's small, and like me, and it doesn't have a lot of notes, but it's really effective, because everything that you play at that 9, 8, 10, 8, 10, everything you do right there is going to sound bluesy. It's going to work. You know, where that's the one thing that always was really weird to me about pentatonic scale shapes, is that you can, you know, if you think about it, if you step back and you look at your whole fretboard and you go, well, it's all the same thing, it's just the same 5 notes over and over and over. That is true. But when you play 5 to 8, the note selection that you're playing is different than it is when you're playing 8 to 10. They are the same 5 notes, but the groupings are different. And what makes this position really nice is that the way it's grouped together, it functions really well. You know, all the notes, if you remember that the 10th fret on the 2nd string is your root, just keep trying to target like that. So, thank you, Rob. Thank you for waiting my discussion out there. So if you were going to play, like, what's some trademark things that you do with that BB box, with the minor and the major? What's some things that you like to do there?
Oh man, I really like I like that, especially in the major version of that. And being able to approach from the 6 into the 1. I just like being able to approach it and then hit the vibrato on the root note. That's something I do especially, it's probably something I play a little bit too much. I'm like, that's how I'm starting my solo this time, because I like it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, and especially, like, I like the big dramatic, when you're playing more minor stuff. Like Albert King was really killer, where he would just, you know, pick like a couple of notes and then just sit on them, and it, you know, it just slay you. And one of the ones that I really like that he has is the, just real simple. It's just, and then just sitting on it so you can hear the vibrato and let it ring out. But it's within those same boxes, you know, just going, bending up to the 5, and just getting those little bends and expressions in there is what gives it so much character, and that's right. Those are things that I steal those constantly.
And guys, that's the point. Is what we're talking about right now. That's exactly what you want to do. What I found in playing when I was younger is that I was so busy trying to push out everything that I knew. So if I only had 30 seconds to solo, I'd try and play every lick, every note, every scale that I could possibly think of. And because your brain, you're not even thinking about it, but your brain's going a million miles an hour, and you're trying to do all these different things. And what Rob is showing you right there is exactly kind of what the essence of what blues is it's not like you can't do, you know, like some of my favorite players are guys like Robin Ford and Eric Johnson and Lincoln Brewster, some of these guys. who play blues, Neil Schoen, Steve Lukather, they do bluesy things, and then all of a sudden they'll rip your head off. But they've learned how to use it selectively, so they're not doing it all the time. And that's something that took me a long time to learn how to do, because I was always I'm still a victim of overplaying on a regular basis, but when it comes to blues, there's just something about it that makes me want to move back and relax. Where when I'm playing over Anthrax, I'm not moving back and relaxing.
You don't want to hold back on Anthrax, but if you're playing a slow blues and you just let a note ring out for a while and milk it, it's really fun. It's and especially, and I think it's one of those things that every player goes through that, especially if they play lead, where once you get a bag of tricks, you want to be able to show that bag of tricks, and you're like, oh, I got this nasty lick, and even if it doesn't work over the thing, you just want to try it anyway to see if
right.
But when you're playing in more of a community setting, when you're playing in a group and you're playing in an ensemble, you want the whole band to sound good, and you want what you're doing to accent the song. You want to play off of the lyrics and play off of the vocal melody and really be melodic when you play. At least that's how I am now, where those are the things that are most important to me. Like, if it's 2 notes that are perfect, I'd rather have that than 8 notes that are a little wishy-washy. Right.
I was actually just doing a session with a guy from Nashville. He had sent me some tracks, and he's like, well, can you do some bluesy style Keith Richards things through this song? And I'm like, sure. So he sends it to me, and I wound up putting just a little bit at the end, and I'm like, there was no space to do anything, because the singer was singing all the time, and he was like, yeah, I guess I never really realized that. So the same thing happens in a band sometimes, is that we don't want to play while the singer is singing all the time. Sometimes there's an appropriate place for it, but sometimes we need to wait for space to put things in, and that goes back to the first thing Rob was talking about learning how to listen. And guys, sometimes when there's space and we're not playing, I'll say this very quietly, it's okay. We can leave the space. We don't have to fill every frickin' crack on the planet.
Blasphemy. You have to be the loudest person on stage all the time. Those are the rules.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Well, guys, and in Play Blues now, this is all the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about. I mean, it's all about not just functionality of the fretboard, but thinking logically about how you're going to approach a solo. I've seen a couple of people talk about licks. Needless to say, there's licks in there, and licks you need. But I don't know if Rob feels the same way I do, but when I first started learning how to, really started learning how to play guitar, I had all kinds of licks. But when I got together with people to jam, I couldn't do anything because I couldn't figure out how to make them fit. And I could only remember so many licks in my brain. It's not like I had some catalog where I could go, okay, lick number 48, there we go. I couldn't do that. It didn't work that way for me,
Yeah, for me, when it comes to especially arranged stuff that I like, I've got a pretty good idea of which ones that I do like to play that will fit within certain songs, but 99.9% of the time, especially if I go out to a Tuesday night jam session at Side Street and I'm playing a blues tune, the only thing I'm thinking about is how does this work with the vocals?
Right.
Does this work with the melody, and is the style right? Because especially with blues and stuff like that, I get ideas for things in the moment just based off of the chords. If it's a straight straight G minor tune, then it's a little bit okay, I've got so many licks here, I can play minor pentatonic, I've got little things that I can mess around with the melody.
Right.
But if there's seventh chords, or if there's other little accents that kind of you really need to play to those things, otherwise it's going to sound like you're playing one song and the band's playing another song. And that's for me, that's no good. You got to make sure you're all on the same page and you're playing the stylistically appropriate. So that even if I'm not playing the hottest licks out there, if the solo is right and it serves the melody and it serves the song, then I've done my job.
That's awesome. That's exactly right.
That's how I look at it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, that's the goal that we want you to get to. Is you're going to be doing a lot of thinking and a lot of learning and a lot of memorizing, but the goal is to get so good at those things to where that isn't what the music's about. You learn how to relax and kind of blend in with the music. And so please remember, if you stay till the end of the webinar, we're going to be giving you a free gift. And right now what I want to do, Dan, who could not be here tonight, but he did record a video for you guys that kind of talks about play blues now and all of that sort of thing. So I think Matt is ready to play that video. And Rob, what's going to happen, we'll have this video so they can all see kind of what this is all about, and then we'll just be sitting back drinking our root beers until it's over, and then we'll rejoin again. So if everybody's ready, Dan's got this little thing, talks about play blues now, talks about a bunch of the things that are in there, and then when he gets back, we're going to go through the last two things here and then give you your bonus. So here we go.
Stop. This video is different. It's not a sales pitch. It's actually the opposite. It's just a tool to help you make a good decision. Because I respect you and your time, I won't go into every detail of Steve Stine's Play Blues Now. Otherwise, we'd be here forever. And I'm not going to try to sell you on it. This is the zero hype zone. Instead, I'm just going to cut to the chase and tell you what it is and what it can do for you. And if you believe that this can help you, I want you to get it. And if you don't, then I want you to pass on the special offer. But I'm asking you to make a decision, either yes or no, not a maybe, and not I'll think about it, because the special price and the fast action bonuses and the webinar attendee bonuses expire today. But whether you decide to join us and to learn to play the blues together, or if you decide to try it alone by yourself, I still want you to learn to play the blues, because every respectable guitar player should have a good working knowledge of the blues. Fair enough? Alright, in DVD 1 you're going to learn how to get that authentic blues sound and tone, what the blues really is and why it's critical style that every serious guitarist needs to know, the 3 most crucial chords for blues and why you can't play real blues without mastering these, fundamental scales and music theory for blues, how to play a simple 12-bar blues so you can get started playing fast. In DVD 2 you're going to learn the major and minor 1-4-5 chord progressions, the critical root and bar chords used in blues, how to play endless variations on the 12-bar blues form so you never get bored. You're going to learn direct chord substitution and techniques for massive strumming control, critical blues rhythms like the shuffle, the straight, and the swing. In DVD 3, you're going to learn step-by-step explanation of everything that the 12-bar blues is and how it can help you. The critical parts of every 12-bar blues so you can learn the blues songs fast. The call and response technique and how it's used in blues. Blues turnarounds, recognizing the rhythm of any blues tune. How to play the power chord blues. And in DVD 4, you're going to discover how to develop your own fast track practice routine. Visualization techniques that make learning new songs a snap. Focused practice versus just noodling around. Essential blues licks for electric guitar. And in DVD 5, you're going to learn the 5 most crucial solo techniques for playing real, authentic blues solos. The 5 most essential scales for authentic blues guitar. And the secret about combining those different scales and scale patterns. An easy way to keep your solo from sounding like a scale. And how to avoid getting stuck while soloing. A simple way to move in and out of different scale positions so your solo always has a soul. In DVD 6, you're going to learn 3 essential blues riff styles that make up 90% of all electric blues music. The boogie blues, Chicago riffs, and the Texas shuffle. Blues riffs and song styles that every serious blues lover should know. The 8-bar blues and why it's crucial to being a complete blues guitarist. The 16-bar blues and how to use it to play mind-melting blues solos. Now, in DVD 7, you're going to learn everything you need to know about turnarounds, hybrid picking, and how to avoid getting lost when you're shredding the blues. In DVD 8, it's all about extended chords like ninths, chord embellishments, and the coveted walk-up technique that instantly transform your blues playing from a raw rookie to a seasoned pro. Pinky embellishments and simple palm muting. Open power chord blues, plus a lot more. You get 8 hours of step-by-step blues training from Professor Steve Stine. He's literally helped millions of guitarists in over 100 different countries. He's been teaching and playing for over 27 years. And as an artist, his bands have toured extensively in the US and the UK. He's also the distinguished former professor of modern guitar studies at North Dakota State University. He's a featured guest instructor at Guitar World magazine. And just one of his YouTube videos has over 1.9 million views. And GuitarZoom publishes over 1.8 million permission-based emails every month, primarily of Steve's lessons. His flagship courses include Music Theory Made Easy, as well as Real World Soloing and Solo Fire. and they're considered by students and many instructors to be authoritative and unmatched in quality. So you get 8 hours of video lessons with Steve in Play Blues Now, which is a $600 value, and you get so much more. The fast action bonuses are a real $244 value, and here's what they are. If you're one of the first 100 to order today, you also get Blues Guitar 101 by Lance Vallis, $129 value. The first 200 people to order will get Delta Blues Licks by Steven Dahlberg. And if you order by midnight tonight, you also get my Easy Blues Solos course, a $49 value. Plus you get Blues Pocket Bible by my buddy Eric Beatty, which is a cool little PDF with all these chords that every single blues guitarist needs to know, as well as all the scale patterns. That's a $17 value. You get that when you order by midnight tonight. You also get these 4 bonuses, a real $140 value. 10 Southern Blues Jam Tracks, downloadable MP3. You get the Progress Tracker, so you can chart your daily progress and make sure you stay on track. You get the the full tab transcription of the entire course. Well, fully downloadable as well, yeah. Oh yeah, and you can also order the book if you want. You'll see that physical book on the checkout page. And this is a super cool bonus. You get access to our private Facebook group, which is for Guitar Zoom students only. So you know you're going to be in there with some serious players who can help you in any way that they possibly can. So let's wrap up. Here's everything you get. 8 DVDs. That's the Play Blues Now course. You get the Blues Guitar 101. That's a $129 value. You get the Delta Blues Licks, a $49 value. My Easy Blues Solos course, $49 value. Blues Guitar Pocket Bible by Eric Beatty, $17 value. The 10 Southern Blues Jam Tracks, $27 value. Access to the private Facebook group for Guitar Zoom students only, $67 value per year, plus the complete tab transcriptions, which is a $19 value, and the Progress Tracker, which is a $27 value, a total value of $984. Of course, at $984, you realize that a lot of people will get left out, right? And we don't want price to be the thing that holds you back. So you won't pay even half that. Not $400, not $300, not even $200. Your investment for the entire 8-hour Play Blues Now course and all the bonuses is only 3 payments of $49.95. That's less than 1 trip to the grocery store these days. And if you'd like to save an extra $32.85, you can make a one and done payment of only $117 today. And you're covered by a 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Which means that if you're not happy for any reason, just let us know for a fast, friendly refund. This almost never happens because Steve's students succeed and get results and have fun. Now, if you're thinking that this is for you, then great. We'd love to have you be part of our growing Guitar Zoom family. But there are a few simple requirements you need to meet first. First, we have a strict no jerks policy. This means that feedback and posts and comments within the group should be kept positive and encouraging. We also require simple manners like avoiding profanity, because this is a family-friendly community. The other requirements are also pretty easy. Watch the lessons, practice, and contribute to the group. That's it. So if your gut's saying, yes, this will help you, then listen to it. Get your copy of Play Blues now and secure all the bonuses and the discounted price. Click the button on your screen right now. Fill out the short and simple order form, and then come back to this webinar and send us a message. Tell us why you decided to take action today and what your goal is. Thank you so much. Here's what to do now. Click the button you see on your screen. Place your safe and secure order now. And so you can secure the special discounted price, the fast action bonuses, and the webinar only bonuses. Then come back and tell us why you decided to join us and why you decided to take action. We can't wait to read your comment. Click the button you see on your screen now to get started.
Hello out there. Just wait for Rob to connect on back here. So that was the video. It told you a little bit about Play Blues Now. It mentioned special pricing. There's a bonus that you get for buying tonight on the webinar. When the webinar is over, you won't get the bonus, which I think was Blues 101, I think is what it was. So there's just a ton of stuff. So hopefully you're going to find some interest in there, and this is going to be able to help you. What I always try and do, the most important thing when I try and teach, regardless of what course it is I'm doing, is not just to teach you how to do things, but how to use them in a realistic perspective. That's always the most important thing, is not just learning how to play a scale or learning how to play a lick. And I was telling you that a little bit earlier. That was my problem for probably 10 years of my playing, is I knew how to do a bunch of stuff, but I couldn't take and put it together into something that actually sounded like music, and that's always been my goal as a teacher. So, Rob, how you doing out there, buddy?
Doing wonderful, sir.
Awesome. So we're going to give them number 4, secret number 4, which is the scale merger. And again, this was freaking huge for me when I learned how to do this major-minor stuff. So could you give them an idea of what your take on scale? There's a million ways of being able to merge scales together, but what's something that you could show them that they could use tonight?
Yeah, I think the thing that you want to think about here is you'll hear a lot of this about just when you're studying music in general. It's about tension and release. And when you're mixing major and minor scales to try and make it sound more cohesive, that's something that can be really helpful. If you've got a real, one of the little tricks that I really like to do is I do this really kind of nasty, and I just like that kind of tritone. So it starts off with a kind of a minor pentatonic, and then you add with the major at the end. So you add this.
Are you playing 7 and 8 there?
Yeah. So it's outlining an A7 diminished. So it's got this nasty kind of this nasty sound to it, but I just love how it resolves. It just little things like that where you can add color and flavor into little licks. And you just add like you can just kind of pick and choose the notes between the two different scales depending on how you're phrasing the line or kind of moving through things. But that's one example where you just you can grind those things out and build tension towards resolving on the line. You'll see guys do that at endings of tunes. They're like, you'll hear those little tricks where it'll tension, resolve, and then you'll hear everything kind of lay out. And I think that's one of the. It's weird that you hear those at kind of the end of tunes, but it might be the first place you want to start when you start mixing those two things together, when you can kind of get a handle on which notes give you what sounds over the chord that you're playing on for whether playing on a backing track or something like that. But just little tricks like that can help you, and keeping the mentality in mind of, okay, if there's too much tension, I gotta release at some point, otherwise it's just it's not gonna go anywhere.
Right. Well, that's cool, and that's absolutely right. What I want to do real quick here is I'm gonna read a couple of these things that people have said. Like Paul said, Randy Rhoads once told a friend of mine that if you can't play the blues, you can't really play guitar, and Randy is famous for his classically influenced stuff. And you know what? There's some truth to that, because I think there's a communication, both human and musical, when people play blues. I know a lot of guys that really don't listen to a lot of blues, but they love to play it. Like it's something that you just do when you get together and you do things, or you go out and you see a band, and they might call you up on stage, and unless you both can decide on like a certain song that everybody knows and the right key and everything like that, it's sometimes really easy just to get somebody up and go, hey, let's just jam some blues in the key of A, or do a Mustang Sally style song that, which is just blues, but it's in a certain key, and then everybody can play together, which is pretty cool. And then Roy says, excuse my ignorance on this, but how does swing and shuffle grooves? I thought the terms were interchangeable. They really are. Swing and shuffle are really interchangeable. My understanding was swing and shuffle, and Rob might know better than this, but it has more to do with the accents of where the beats are. Like drummers think of swing and shuffle differently, where we as guitar players a lot of times think of them as the same thing. That's why for me, if I say swing or I say shuffle, me personally, I'm talking about the same thing. A straight rhythm is a straight rhythm, but swing and shuffle are kind of the same thing. Rob, do you have a take on that?
Yeah, some of it might depend on context too. If you're talking to a drummer and you want to hear a swing rhythm, you might hear something a little more washy on a ride, where it allows that a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 5, a 2, da 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 da, and it might have a different feel to it. Whereas
Sure.
if you tell a drummer, yo, I want to shuffle, you might get do do bat do 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 bat do 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 bat do do. But if you're playing over a shuffle, you can use the swing in like your melodic lines. That's something that when I was first starting to get into improvisational music and listening to jazz and stuff like that, getting the concept of swing when you're in a melody and giving it that bounce, and that's what kind of gives the life to the line. And
Sure.
and sometimes people don't think of bluegrass being a swing type music, or the rhythms in that, especially in flat picking, it actually does swing, and the accents are with the flat picking with down up down up. The swing is on your upstroke, where you hear the ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do, and that's where those melodic lines get their life from.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that gives us some insight on that, because if you start looking for information on swing and shuffle on the internet, it's kind of all over the place. Everybody sort of has their own take on what it is. But anyway, thank you for that. Thanks. Let's see. Yeah, see, Joe says swing and shuffle hits on 2 and 4 beat 1 and 2 and 3. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is everybody's got their own kind of take on it. So we're gonna wrap this up in just a little bit, because I know you all have to get back to your lives, and I do appreciate everybody that's on this call once again for taking time out, hanging out with us, learning a little bit, talking a little bit about music, and then giving you an opportunity to get this Play Blues Now at a discount. Somebody had asked if this was Blues Guitar Secrets, but a different version of it. It is not. This is Play Blues Now. So just letting you know, you're going to get a discount. If you buy on the webinar, you get a program called, or a course called Blues Guitar 101, and you only get that if you buy on the webinar. And then you're going to get, in just a little bit here, I'm going to make sure that we get the bonus up for you guys too, for attending the webinar as well. So, last thing we got there, Rob, we've got learning to sing on the guitar. Okay.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this one was near and dear to my heart, because it was something that, for me, didn't come particularly naturally, because I've been playing guitar for a really long time, and then as a lead player trying to go in and then lead a band and sing and be able to make melodic noises with your mouth, and then be able to hop back on and play a complementary line on a guitar. It's something, especially with the mechanics of it.
Sure.
There's a lot of work, unless if you're gifted and you can just kind of jump into it. More power to you. I was not one of those dudes. I'm one of those guys that went and struggled at open mic nights for several years, and it was slow going in order to be able to, mechanically be able to keep rhythm and be able to sing a tune. And
Right.
Any advice that I can give, it's don't worry about pitch right away, because that'll come later, because the rhythm of how you're singing and playing the instrument together, that's what's gonna give you the most confidence right away. When you can understand that your voice is a rhythmic thing, that you're having to work within the right hand doing this, the left hand doing this, and you got to be right in on top of it and anticipating things. And it's one of those things that it definitely takes a little bit of time to be able to, even just one of the things that helps is just scatting over the playing that you're doing.
Sure.
So if I'm doing a tune, like one of my favorite tunes to sing, a tune called "Shake Your Moneymaker." It's an Elmore James tune. It's just an easy blues tune, and just being able to keep the rhythm going. Shake your money maker, shake your money maker, shake your money maker, shake your money maker. Just being able to find the rhythm of where you're at in amongst if you can keep everything going with the guitar side, and then just rhythmically interject with your voice. That's for me where I would start.
Right.
especially singing tunes like the back of your hand is really helpful, because you can probably sing along in your car perfectly fine to them, but understanding the mechanics of how you're singing with the guitar and trying to keep that rhythm without a track or any, no safety net, no training wheels or anything like that. Right. That's I think the biggest thing that,
awesome.
Especially if somebody's starting doing it, that's the first thing I tell them. Is just try, if you can lay down the rhythm, just try to bark out some noises over.
Right.
Just be in time, because the pitch will come, but if you got to be in time.
Well, and honestly, for a lot of people, the pitch only has to be there so much,
Exactly. It still sounds cool. Tom Waits has got the graveliest voice around, but his rhythm is so on point that it's you get the feel and the vibe of a tune right away.
Well, you think of, for me, you think of Steven Tyler and how his venture on American Idol or whatever it was, and if he was trying out for the show, he'd never get on there, but he's got this, for me, Steven Tyler's just, I love the way he sings, and that's that same thing. It's authentic. It's not about, it's not about that sort of thing. It's a completely different thing. So, guys, we've already had a number of sales already, and I want to say thank you to everybody that's already purchased on this webinar. If you could do me a huge favor, if you have already purchased, chat with me and tell me what you're excited about. Tell me why you decided to purchase. Tell me what you're excited about for this course. Now, for those of you that are masterclass students, you will be getting a $20 discount. It looks like Matt has broken down and decided to give the masterclass students a $20 discount. So if you've already taken a masterclass and you buy Play Blues now, you get a $20 discount. And then let's see here. Somebody else had asked about the guitar soloing masterclass, the blues soloing masterclass that I have going on, if this is different. This is a little different. This is more compact. The blues soloing masterclass that started, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago is far more in depth. It goes a longer degree. This is meant for people to get in there and get dirty and get the core elements right away. From the very beginning, and it really focuses a lot on the rhythms and things like that. Where the guitar soloing masterclass kind of goes, it goes way further with jazz and all kinds of different things like that. So if you took Play Blues now, guitar soloing masterclass might be a nice addition some point in your life to bump up to. But yeah, that's what it is. So remember, if you buy on the webinar now, you're going to get the bonus, the Blues Guitar 101. And in just a minute here, I'm going to pop up, because I got to get you guys off here. I'm going to give you the link to the freebie that you get for being here. And am I missing anything? I think that's everything. So if you did buy, please throw a chat up there and let us know why you bought the course. Let's see here. Matt, should I just throw the link for the webinar for them to be able to download their bonus? I'm not sure how I should do that. If I did, let me try this. That way I can give you guys this. If you go to that, can you guys all see that sticky that I just put up? Rob, can you see what I just did there? That Play Blues Now /webinar?
I cannot see it.
If you go to chat. Let's see, I'm waiting for Matt. They are. Let's see.
Nope, I can't see anything in there.
Okay. Well, I'm just waiting to hear from Matt what he thinks I should do. That's the bonus link, Matt, right there? You know what guys like me do without guys like Matt? Nothing. We do nothing. I am a worthless loser without Matt. Matt and Tom, man, those guys make my world go around. Yep. I just smile and strum. Those guys do all the work. Okay, so I just put the sticky up there. If you guys can all see it, what you're going to do with that, somewhere on there, it's going to say webinar bonus. You're going to get. Let me find it here. Well, you can see it better than I can. So we've got Robert has purchased. Glenn has purchased, Carrie has purchased, Rich has purchased, Pleasant has purchased, Randall has purchased, Paul, William, Chuck, Jeff, Craig, Roy. There's just all kinds of you that have already purchased, and I sure do appreciate that. So guys, the sticky that I just put up is the one that you should be able to Perfect. Okay, so thank you, Paul. Thank you, John. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, friend. Thank you, Joe. Looks like Joe has found it. Keith found it. Rob found it. So all you guys are finding it. So that sticky that I just put up there, that's where you're going to get that free bonus from. If you have any problems ordering the course, if you have any problems downloading your bonus, any of those kind of things, you just need to get a hold of me at steve@guitarzoom.com, and I will make sure that I route this to the appropriate place. If you're a masterclass member, remember you're going to get $20 off, and this price that we're giving you right now is a webinar price. So please keep that in mind. And then Matt, can you tell me so I can let everybody get back to their lives? If I log out, will this continue going for them, Matt? Yes. Okay. Perfect. So, because I got to let Rob get back to his world too, and I got to let, and again, I don't want to waste any more time than I have of all of yours. So, thank you everybody for being on this call and just for being part of the Guitar Zoom family. Like I said, it's awesome to be able to hang out with you guys, and hopefully in 2016 we've got some really great plans to be able to hang out on a more personal level with you and talk about your needs and questions that you've got and things like that, because you know, that's why we're here. So, Rob, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this, buddy.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Always good talking to you. Thanks so much, everybody, for checking everything out and supporting GuitarZoom.com. These guys do some awesome stuff and put out some great content for people.
All right, cool. Thanks. So, everybody, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Smile and struggle. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, you can still buy when this is over. That will stay up for you. You can still buy to get the bonus. You can still buy to get the discount. If you're masterclass, you get $20 off. Blah blah blah, and you still get that freebie. You get the free jam tracks if you click on that link. So please do so. And the webinar attendee, yep. So perfect. This will go for 6 more hours. So you got time to talk to your wife or your husband and say, look, Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Okay. I don't even know what that means.
I like it. Check with the judges; they'll accept that.
Thank you. As long as Rob likes it, then I'm good. All right, guys, everybody take care.